Well, hi, and thank you for joining us for another edition of Your Schools. I'm Guy Sconzo, the very proud superintendent of Humble ISD, joined by the best co-host ever on television, Lynn Fields. Lynn, it's good to see you.
Thank you, Dr. Sconzo. It's a blessing to be back with you. And happy Valentine's Day.
Thank you. Happy Valentine's Day to you, too. Well, we're into 2014,
That's
Lynn,
right.
Obviously, and we've got a great show. And I know we say that all the time, but really some special things. We're going to have the chance to, in this show, to meet our three school board officers and talk a little bit about their work and experience on the school board.
And we're going to tell you about a new training center in our police department, our Humble ISD Police Department, that's really an honor for our district.
Yeah, statewide really is a big deal. Also, a brand new instructional program for middle school students in science, technology, engineering, and math. Really exciting stuff.
And then you're going to want to hear about what the kids at Summer Creek High School are doing to help our community. It is truly a heartwarming story.
Yeah, over-the-top special, truly. And we'll wrap up the show with our Humble High School Alumni Association and very special organization. So, lots to talk about. Stay with us. We're going to get started as soon as we come back. Well, thanks for staying with us. You know, we're coming off, Lynn, of January,
Right.
And every January in the state of Texas is School Board Appreciation Month. And school boards throughout the state, of course I'm biased, I think our school board in particular, do yeoman's work in governing school districts and really making decisions that determine the future of all the young people served in a school district. And we're very fortunate, I believe, in our district, blessed in fact, to have amazing school board trustees elected by you, our voters in Humble ISD. And we've got our three officers here to talk a little bit about their experiences on the school board here in Humble ISD. I'm going to start at my far right, and that's Brent Engelage, our board president. Brent, thanks for being with us.
You bet. Good to be here.
Robert Sitton, who this year is our board secretary. Robert, good to see you.
Thank you.
And Robert Scarfo, our board vice president. Robert, great to see you too.
Thanks, Dr. Sconzo, and I agree with everything you said.
Gee, I'm glad that's on tape.
Yeah, that's a rare thing, isn't it?
That's a first.
That's a very rare thing.
It may be. Well, I have a question for all of you kind of to get us going, if I may. And that is, if you can think back to when you were first running for the school board, what really caused you to make that decision to run and try to become a member of the Humble ISD school board? And now that you've been on the board and you all are, I'll refer to you as veterans. I mean, you've done this a while and do it extraordinarily well, but has the experience now met your expectations when you think back to when you were first running? Brent, we'll start with you.
Well, I was inspired by Jim Eggers. Jim Eggers, as we all know, died in, 2007 when he was board president. I was just a new dad, not new dad, but new dad to Humble ISD. My daughters were in kindergarten and first grade. So I went to the bond study committee, like a lot of folks, just to find out what was going on. I think both of these guys were there as well. But that was really my first experience with being involved in the school district. And unfortunately, as we know, Jim died, in December, and the bond study committee had just finished. But I'll never forget him standing in front of the administration building there and saying, back in 2004, I was right where you're at today, and I sat right back there, so be careful what you do, because now look at me, I'm board president. So now that I'm board president, I think back to that a lot. But Jim really inspired me because after that position was open, I thought about it. Looking back on it, I would have probably not run then, because I didn't know squat about our schools other than where my daughter's room was and my other daughter's room was, because I hadn't been involved. So like these guys have been involved a lot before they ran for the board. So really looking back on it, and to encourage other people, I think I would be real involved in the PTA, be involved in other things before you run for the board, because the learning curve was pretty huge. Once I got elected, it was like, oh my gosh, there's a lot here. So, but to answer your second question, it has certainly met my expectations and beyond. There's amazing staff. It's wonderful working with you too and the other board members. But it's just an amazing school district, so it's a lot of fun.
Well, thanks, Brent. Great story. Robert?
A couple of influences. In 2008, I served on the bond study committee, and that's where I really got my feet wet with the school district specifically. But growing up here, I've been involved in the school district indirectly for many, many years. Two main influences, my dad owned a business here, helped start the Little League program back in the 60s and so forth. And his big mantra to my brother and I was, if you're going to call it home, leave it better than you found it. And the only way that you can do that is by getting involved. And I think I've said this a couple times, the kind of the tip of the iceberg, a very dear friend of our district and our family, Miss Beasley passed away, and at her funeral it was kind of a coming home week. The who's who of the Humble community were there, and multiple people had heard that I was contemplating running for the school board, and that was kind of the tip of the iceberg to get me to go ahead and do it, because I can remember Miss Beasley and what she would say, and she would echo what my dad said. Get involved, make a difference, and that's really the reasons that I ran. Having raised two kids through the system and having so much fun, I remarried and started over, and now have two more in the system. I really want to make an impact and make sure that they have a quality education, along with all the other students that we provide that for in our district. So fast forward to your second question, I really, really strongly believe that we are making a difference. So from an expectation standpoint, I don't know if I really know what I expected coming in, but where we're at today versus where we were 3-4 years ago, I believe that we as a group have really made strides to make this the best school district it can possibly be, not only for our students, but for our parents and for our staff. So I'm very, very proud of that fact.
And rightfully so, in my opinion. Thank you. Robert?
I think as I go back and look at what motivated me, I was involved with, as Brent and Robert said, in district level committees, had been involved in 2 bond committees, study committees, and even before that, being involved on the campus level with your child, you get involved in different things, and over time, and it just sort of progressed. I guess I got to the point where I decided to myself, I'd like to be on the other side of the table where you actually can vote on these recommendations that are coming forward. And I decided to give it a try. It took a couple of tries, and that often is the case. And I would encourage people who do run, and if maybe you don't win the first time, keep at it, stay involved, learn. Because as Brent said, the more involvement you have, you get a better sense of what the district does. And I will tell you, as much as I thought I knew about the school district business, well, when I finally did get elected and got seated, and that first year, 2 years, you realize you really don't know all that much. Because I will tell you, and I think my colleagues would agree, that it looks a lot easier from the outside than the other side. And I know our friend Mr. Huberty will tell you too, that it's easy to run a campaign, tough to govern. And that is the truth. And until you're on that side, I don't really think you grasp the gravity of that statement. It's really true. But as far as expectations of what's happened, I've been surprised by things. Certain things are how I expected. But I'll tell you, it's been exhilarating for me to be involved. And over the 5+ years I've had the privilege to serve, I've had a lot of great people to work with, and certainly, as Robert said about staff that we do have, I don't believe the community sees enough of that in terms of just the great level, the quality of people we have. and our students. They're just great.
Well, I'm sorry to say that they're waving us on, and I hate when he does that, but I know he's only doing his job. I get that. But thank you all for being with us. More importantly, thank you for what you give to our community and our children. Robert, you made an excellent point. It's hard for anyone who's not doing it to really see and understand what all is involved, but I can assure you the hours that they give and the attention that they pay and the concern they have to be sure that we're doing the best we possibly can for every single one of the children that we serve is just unparalleled. They're amazing, good men. So thank you all.
And woman.
And woman. Wow, okay.
Only one woman. There needs to be more on the board, as a matter of fact.
And actually, we need to get to Robin. We got to be sure to get her on the show. So I
There you go.
don't want to go there. All righty, thank you all. Please stay with us. We've got a lot more to share.